Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to be going ahead and running an experiment with ChatGPT's bot. And I'm going to go ahead and play the survival of the fittest, but with religion and with theology here. Survival of the fittest is the ideology that the fittest or the strongest will survive in the end and the weakest will end up perishing. This is applied to physicality within the animal kingdom. This is also applied to faith. This is applied to religion. If you have a weak religion, a strong religion will soon go ahead and overtake it. If you have a weak ideology, the strong ideology will end up going ahead and overtaking it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this, see what the chatbot has to say. So the first question I'm going to go ahead and start the conversation off with, I would like to run an experiment with you, survival of the fittest, but with faith. I would like to examine the world religions and figure out analytically which one is the strongest in faith and which one is the weakest. Let's see which belief will outlast the rest. So let's go ahead and send that and see what ChatGPT has to say here. So she says, fascinating proposition and quite a bold intellectual experiment. You're essentially proposing a kind of Darwinian faith trial, where we examine major world religions through the lens of spiritual resilience, historical endurance, spiritual impact, and maybe even existential cohesion. If done right, this can uncover which faiths process kind of spirituality survival. This is well done. We need criteria, framework, comparing religions, and fair meaningless bias. Here are the permanently structure I suggest. We can score each religion, scale and productivity based on historical endurance, geographical cultural spread, martyrdom and sacrifice, fidelity and core doctrine, ability to reproduce and retain, mystical theological depth, and civilizational influence. These are the participants of the religions here. So we got Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Taoism, Shinto, Zoroism, and atheism. Okay? Where do you want to go ahead and start? So I said let's rank them all based on the chart you gave and use the religions you listed. Rank them all from 1 to 10 based on the scale at hand and give slight details on why. Okay, she said, excellent, this will be rigorous, no holds barred evolution in each belief system, resilience, influence, and spiritual survivability. Think of it like a spiritual natural selection, a battlefield of faiths measured not in brute force but existential tendency. It makes complete sense. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Survival of the faithful, ranking the world religions 1 to 10 on a scale. Each religion was scored with 7 criteria I laid out. Scores out of 10 per category. I include brief justifications. Disclaimer, this is analytical, not theological. I am not evaluating truth, but spiritual hardness in historical and social culture senses. Okay, awesome. So she starts with Christianity and giving it a score in each one of the tiers that we went ahead and spoke about. Historical endurance, geographical and cultural spread, martyrdom and sacrifice, fidelity and core doctrine, reproduction and retention, mystical theological depth, and civilizational influence. She gives it a total of 63 out of 70 here. Okay, very interesting. Now moving on to Islam. Islam, she ranks all of the same exact things, essentially. If you guys want to go ahead and read what each one says here on the side or see the exact scores with each criteria here on the left side, you can go ahead and do that. I will kind of like pause over each one so you guys can see it. But Islam here goes ahead and ranks with a 64. So 1 point above Christianity here. Moving on to Judaism. Judaism comes in at a 58 out of 70. There are its scores, and these are the reasons why. Then we move on to Hinduism. Hinduism ranks a 59 out of 70. So it looks like the only two so far that are in the 60s, and Islam is leading so far with 1 point above Christianity, is Christianity and Islam. No Hinduism, no Judaism so far, which I think would be the two highest probabilities after Christianity and Islam at this point. But let's go ahead and move on. This is Hinduism. These are the reasons why Hinduism got the score 59 as it did. Buddhism, historical endurance, and so forth. We got a 56 out of 70 on Buddhism. Sikhism, we went ahead and got a 54 out of 70 on Sikhism. These are the reasons why. Taoism, Confucianism, Chinese folk religion, is going to get a 47 out of 70, which is the lowest score we have seen so far. Shinto gets a 37 out of 70, even lower in score. Zoroastrianism is going to get a 43 out of 70. And these are the reasons why. And atheism is going to go ahead and get a 36 out of 70. It is the least probable and has the lowest score so far, it looks like. So these are the survival leaderboards. We have Islam coming in at first with 64, Christianity coming in at second with 63, Hinduism coming in third with 59, Judaism coming in at 58, in fourth, Buddhism coming in at fifth at 56, and the rest all very short. I find it very interesting that Judaism fell under Hinduism, but looking at the rate of what Hinduism looks like now, their birth rate and what's happening, Hinduism is a very large religion. It's been around for a very, very long time. And it does make sense that it would rank third here. Now, this is really going to be between Islam and Christianity at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and try and slim this down as best as we can to go ahead and figure this out. Okay, so the next question I'm going to go ahead and ask here. Let's slim it down. First and second place. Which out of Christianity and Islam at the rate the world is working at today will survive in the end? Is there more Muslims leaving to Christianity or more Christians leaving to Islam? Which one is fundamentally stronger and followed more as well? Yes, there is billions of Muslims and billions of Christians, but do all of them follow the religion? And out of both religions, which one is more willing to stand by their faith and laws to help it survive? So this is what I'm going to go ahead and send in. This is a completely non-biased question to Christianity and Islam to see what the chatbot believes.
Now we're sharpening the blade. This is no longer about history, but current and future survivability. We're putting Christianity versus Islam under the microscope and asking, who is more committed, growing, and spiritually resilient in modern times? Let's walk through this point by point with sourced insights and analysis. Have 1. Conversion. Who's gaining, who's losing? Pew Research, 2011-15. For every 1 Christian who converts to Islam, 4 Muslims leave Islam, many to atheism or Christianity. However, Christianity also sees net loss due to secularization, especially in the West. Christianity-Islam conversions are common in prisons and among black communities in the U.S., but the numbers are small compared to Muslims converting out in places like Iran, Indonesia, and even Saudi Arabia. Islam is gaining more by birth, not conversion. In fact, Islam has a low net conversion rate, while Christianity is net losing due to Western apostasy. Edge, Christianity, but only slightly and mostly underground, especially in Muslim-majority countries where conversion is dangerous. Act 2. Actual adherence. Are they practicing or just nominal? Christianity, Europe, once its stronghold, is post-Christian in many ways. Only 24% of U.S. Christians attend church weekly, 2022. Nominal Christians abound, many culturally Christian, but don't believe or obey teachings. Islam, higher rate of practice globally. 70 to 80% of Muslims in many regions pray 5 times daily. Even in secular countries, many Muslims still fast during Ramadan and follow Sharia in some form. Edge, Islam. Its followers are far more devout, and religious practice is integrated deeply into daily life. 3. Willingness to sacrifice for faith. Christian martyrdom. Still present, especially in Africa, e.g. Nigeria, North Korea, parts of the Middle East. But in the West, many Christians are quiet under pressure and concede to secular norms. Islamic resilience. Muslims frequently mobilize globally for perceived attacks on Islam, e.g. Danish cartoons, French secular laws. Sharia-adhering communities actively try to maintain traditional laws, even in secular states. Edge, Islam. In the modern world, Muslims are more willing to suffer or fight for their religion, legally, culturally, even militarily. 4. Global growth trends. By 2060, Islam is projected to surpass Christianity in number, Pew Research. This is due to high birth rates, low apostasy in many regions, high retention in families Christianity grows in, Sub-Saharan Africa, China, underground church, Latin America, especially Pentecostalism, but it's shrinking rapidly in Europe and parts of North America. Edge, the momentum, is currently with Islam, demographically and geographically. Meta 5, fundamental strength of doctrine. Christianity offers a message of grace, forgiveness, redemption. But doctrinal fragmentation, Protestantism alone has 30,000 denominations. Moral teachings are being reinterpreted in liberal churches. Islam offers clear rules, halal haram, a centralized scripture, high uniformity, resistance to liberal reinterpretation. However, rigidity can hinder adaptation. Edge. Islam. It's more doctrinally unified and harder to water down. Christianity is existentially deeper, but often splintered. 6. Resilience against modern secularism. Christianity is more vulnerable to postmodern relativism, secularism, and moral compromise. Islam resists secularism more fiercely, even fighting back politically and culturally. Muslim communities often create parallel societies to maintain religious integrity. Edge Islam. It is less assimilated and more resistant to secular erosion. Conclusion. Which will survive the longest? Factor. Winner conversion momentarily. Adherence and devotion. Islam. Willingness to suffer, resist. Islam. Global growth. Islam. Doctrinal cohesion. Islam. Resilience to secularism. Islam. Theological depth. Christianity. Verdict. Islam is currently the stronger contender in terms of faith survivability. It is more unified, more practiced, less compromised, and demographically rising. Christianity, despite its theological beauty and civilizational legacy, is being eroded from within in many of its strongholds. That said, the global south may hold the key to Christianity's continued relevance. Africa and Latin America are rising hotbeds of zealous faith.
And the final thing, I'm just going to go ahead and ask to go ahead and finish this experiment off. I don't want to get too deep into it. I kind of just wanted to go ahead and rank the world religions in a non-biased way. Go ahead and compare the top 3, which was Christianity and Islam. They came kind of head-to-head there in the first ranking. It was 64 to 63. Islam taking 64, Christianity taking 63. And I went ahead and compared and contrasted some of the main factors of both religions to see their survivability rate. She went ahead and said Islam is the one that's going to survive. So I just want to go ahead and reassure this, so we can conclude that the fittest in this experiment is Islam, and it will have the highest survival rate in the end. Or am I missing something here? Let's go ahead and just ask this to go ahead and conclude.
You're not missing much. You're right to conclude that Islam is currently the fittest in this survival of the faithful experiment. Here's the distilled reasoning. Why Islam wins in survival terms. 1. High retention and low apostasy. Most Muslims stay Muslim. Leaving is rare and often costly, socially, legally, or even physically. 2. Strong practice and devotion. Daily rituals, prayer, fasting, dress, are ingrained into life. Religious identity is communal, not just personal, far harder to erode. 3. Unified doctrine. The Quran is preserved with remarkable consistency. There's far less denominational fragmentation than Christianity. 4. Resistance to secular pressures. Muslim communities often reject liberal reinterpretations. Even in secular societies, Islam often pushes back, assertively, even politically. 5. Global growth through birth rate and retention. Islam is the fastest growing religion, mostly from demographic resilience and cultural transmission. 6. Sacrificial willingness. From fasting to martyrdom, Muslims routinely act on their beliefs, even when it costs them. Christianity's weaknesses in contrast. Theological beauty and historical influence are undeniable, but doctrinal fracture, secular infiltration, and cultural softness in the West make it vulnerable. Nominal Christianity is widespread. Many call themselves Christians, but live functionally secular lives. Evangelical fire is still burning in Africa and parts of Asia, but the core bastions, Europe, US, are weakening fast. Final take. If we're talking about raw survival ability in a Darwinian cultural landscape, Islam is, hands down, the most resilient and enduring religious system today. This doesn't mean it's theologically right or more loving. That's a different battle. But in the arena of faith survival, Islam stands its ground and is winning.
So I'm going to go ahead and end it right here, guys. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, this was a fun experiment. I tried to make it as non-biased as possible, asking her open-ended questions, letting her go ahead and rank depending on facts and statistics that she could pull off the web. This is an AI. It is not perfect. But as I said before, she ranked Islam as first, and then comparing Islam and Christianity, Islam blew Christianity out the water when it came to survivability. This is a survivability test. This is not about what is right and what is wrong. This is not about what you personally believe. This is not about the specific theology of the religion. This is about survival of the fittest. This is about what religion or what faith has the strongest survivability. What faith is the strongest in belief. We're going ahead and taking a look at what religion has the strongest belief system. What religion has the strongest survivability through survival of the fittest. This is very, very, very prominent. You see a lot of people attacking each other online when it comes to theology and faith and really, really going in on each other. And I see the weaknesses within people. I see how they're scared. They don't say that they're scared, but it's very, very clear. They're very insecure about their own belief. And instead of preaching and teaching their own faith, instead of preaching the good word of Jesus Christ through the Gospels, they don't. They attack Islam. Or Muslims, instead of actually teaching the Quran or teaching Islamic word, they go ahead and attack Christians to make themselves feel better. If they can prove Christianity wrong or prove Islam wrong or attack them or attack the Prophet, then they're going to go ahead and feel better about themselves because they already know at the end of the day what religion is the strongest, whose belief system is the strongest, and which one is going to have the highest survivability rate. This is just natural instinct. This is called survival of the fittest. It is built into our natural inclination as human beings. So yes, it is natural that somebody fears a stronger belief system or a stronger physical person in general. This is how it works, and this is why I wanted to run this test. In my next video, I'm going to go ahead and break down Islam now, and I'm going to go ahead and break it down into sects and see what sect, Sunni or Shia, is going to be the one that can survive the longest or what one has the most survivability, depending on basically the same exact conversation that we had here. I will continue on with the conversation that I was having right here and continue on breaking down Islam into its subsects. I will go ahead and expand on this experiment in my next video. I'll go ahead and take Islam and go ahead and split it into its sects, Sunni and Shia, and allow ChatGPT to go ahead and do the same exact ranking process with Sunni and Shia Islam and all of their subsects within them, such as Wahhabism, Salafism, the four major schools of thought in Sunni Islam, Shia, 12er Shiaism, you have Alawais, and all these other different subsects of each Sunni and Shia, comparing these sects to go ahead and see analytically which one has the highest survivability rate and which one will end up being victorious in the end. Again, this is a chatbot. This is ChatGPT. She's going to go ahead and take all the information that she has available to her, and we are going from a non-biased perspective to go ahead and see what she actually has to say. Rather than trying to steer her towards a specific answer, she went ahead, ranked these religions, and gave the information herself by me asking very, very simple and base questions, non-biased questions. She doesn't know if I'm Muslim. She doesn't know if I'm Christian. She doesn't know if I'm Hindu. She doesn't know if I'm atheist asking these questions right now. This is very, very, very open-ended things, and she went ahead and ranked Islam as the winner today. So thank you guys so much for coming in today. Go ahead and check out the next video where I go ahead and rank Shia and Sunni Islam against each other here in the chat bot to see which one has the highest survivability rate when it comes to survival of the fittest through faith. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and bye-bye guys.